Hey, welcome back to head number 7. Today I want to talk as usual about my process, but I also want to talk about a question which was asked by Mariana in my last video. Mariana asked, could you touch on some topics as your brushwork, how to paint skin tone, and what exercise you have found useful or a waste of time? First of all, thank you so much, Mariana, for your comment and for your question, and I want to talk about brushwork today. But I also want to give you guys my number 5 top tips in improving your brushwork. And these 5 tips will definitely helping you to improve your brushwork. So make sure to watch the whole video to catch all my 5 tips. So let's jump right into it. So I see brushwork as handwriting. Every artist got their own type of brushwork. So the brush is basically an extension of the arm, and it helps you to convey emotion and energy and to canalize it through your brushwork. And if you're really skilled, you can convey your subject only with your brushwork, like Sargent did on this dress of this lady. And that's what I think, or what I personally think, and what I like to think about as brushwork is the expression of yourself. And it is not only the subject you show and the colors you use and the values and the light, it's also how you use your brush. Because when you do something with energy, you can translate this on your canvas while using the brush with the energy as an extension of your arm. And it is super important that you actually learn to know when you have to paint thick or to paint smooth, or when you have to make a delicate attention, or when you have to simplify detail, for example. There's something I still have to learn is, for example, like when I want detail and when I want actually have no detail, or when I want to blend, for example, or when I want to paint directly, or when I want to do big bold strokes in the beginning where I'm very confident and I take a big brush and then I try to do big strokes like Sargent did here. So without thinking about detail, thinking about blending or some sort of smooth texture, I think about just like, what do I see or what do I want to show, and what do I want to express. And then when you start your painting, your brushwork is something like an afterthought in a way, you know? Because you not only want to focus how to identify a color or mix a color or place it on the right spot, for example, on the canvas. But of course, this is also critical if you want to become very skilled in your brushwork. And for example, people can become aware of the way you put the paint around on your canvas. You can really separate, for example, a Sargent from a Tipolo, for example, or from a Velasquez, because you see the way how Sargent put his strokes on the canvas. It looks effortlessly, and he simultaneously shows the subject and he shows the light correctly. He separates light and shadows correctly, but he also uses his brush while following the form of the face, for example. What is also important is when you decide to simplify stuff. For example, in this Sargent painting, he basically simplifies the dress of the lady in the foreground, or the paintings hanging on the wall, by just giving him a very simple color and a very simple value. And not only this, it looks like he almost made only one stroke for this dress. So, talking about all the other old masters and how brush strokes are actually working, now I want to talk about what you can actually do to be aware of your own brushwork. So first of all, think about what do you want to do when you paint something. So what is your goal? Do you want to do a loose painting? Do you want to have a rough indication of things? Do you actually want to have brush strokes in it and just indicate some areas? Or do you want to paint something very high realistic rendered? Do you want to show something specific also? If it's expression of a face, or if it's something, if you paint a landscape, for example, and there is something very specific story-wise you want to communicate, think about it before. I, for example, did a mistake here on this head that I actually did not thought so much through the whole painting process, because you can see that I changed a lot while I was painting it. I was drawing the whole construction of the head, but I wasn't sure how I want to handle, for example, this mass of hair, and also how I wanted to handle her skin tone, because the reference image was quite shallow in values. Also, when you start the painting, use a very big brush in the beginning, and try to be loose. Try not to tighten up in the whole process of painting, and also to have fun with your brush strokes, and try to make it a natural habit of thinking simultaneously while painting all the brushworks in. And don't be afraid to fail, because I see it as, if I fuck it up, I can basically do it again. And it's all about doing it, right? It's about painting, it's about the process of enjoying. So don't be afraid, and also don't rush it too much. Just take your time, analyze it, and then try to make a big, bold stroke. My next step would be use your energy. When you start something new, when you are the most creative, usually everybody got a lot of creative energy. And when you want to do a painting in the beginning, you have this rush of ideas and you have this energy. Try to use this energy and channelize it on the canvas with big strokes and really strong gestures. Sargent is such a great example. You can see all his brushworks and you feel the energy when you see these brush strokes. And I almost feel like he was just like, I just need a fold or something, you know? And then he just like made a very strong and a very quick brush stroke over his whole shape. And he simultaneously connected the background with the foreground element. And it just works perfectly. Also, when you rush your painting too much, too fast, you end up in detailing maybe stuff you actually don't want to detail. And that's something you usually learn over time. And I think this is really an experience thing. That's why it's good to find a way, a routine, a habit to paint a lot and to make a lot of mistakes, to basically learn a lot from those mistakes. My next tip would be make yourself your own brushwork master file. This file includes all the artists and all the work you really like, all the brushwork you admire and you want to learn from. And then study it, analyze it, try to find out what are the things you like. Try to find out what can you accumulate to your own work. And what could you use for yourself? This is very hard, I know, but if you do this and if you take your time, you will see you will definitely improve your brushwork on this. And not only rely on photos you find in the internet, also go to a museum. When you stand in front of one of those amazing, huge paintings, you can see the brushwork, you can see the energy, you can see the bold strokes. That's something you really cannot feel when you see an image on Pinterest, but when you stand in front of that painting, you can really see and feel the brushwork. Flipping the image in between helps really, because sometimes when you stare too much on the image for 2 or 3 hours, you will definitely lose sight of it. So it is really good to refresh the eye through flipping the image. Old masters usually uses mirrors, so they stand in front of their paintings and use a mirror to see what is wrong and what is right, or what is working or not. And it's also good to take a break and come back with a fresh eye. You see me now changing the hair, for example. The thing with this hat, it took me quite a while. I usually need like 3 hours for one of those hats, but this hat really took me really long because I really did not know where I wanted to go. If I wanted to have this shallow value structure I had on the reference image, or if I want to really emulate the same hair as it is, because I do not like it that much. But you start to see me now to change quite some stuff, also to add more grace to the skin tone, just to give it a little bit more a natural look, because I felt it was a little bit too saturated, and all the volumetric shadows were a little bit missing because the face was equally lit. So my last but definitely not least tip is use a sketchbook and do shadings in there. So what do I mean by this? So I realized at a certain point, when I really tried to focus on my brushwork and I did pencil drawings in my sketchbook in between, when I rendered, for example, a face, I realized that I actually do very small hatching lines and very small strokes to show plane changes, plane surfaces, and I really enjoy this. And I was like, okay, so maybe I can use this to find my own style of brushwork. And that's something I would definitely recommend to you guys. Not only paint stuff, but also try to draw and render it with pencil or with another medium, and try to find out if there are similarities you do, maybe in your habit, or maybe things you like to do, and then try to combine it and think about maybe to paint like you draw and you draw like you paint, because there are very close connections to each other. I actually realized this very late, that there is some sort of a connection. I think it is important that you try to find a good habit where you do both, where you draw and where you paint. I know there are people who don't like drawing, or they see like painting and drawing is something completely differently, but I would say it is not, because you can really to 80-90% achieve the same thing with a pencil as with a brush. It's, of course, it's harder to make a line art work with only a brush and for example like black ink, but it's absolutely doable, and of course it looks a little bit different, but it's the same kind of movement, you know, and it also goes through your arm. It's a thought of you, it's your energy, it's what you want to convey, and I think this is really the most important tip. So really think about it. Maybe get a sketchbook, and if you say, okay, I'm not a drawing person, just try it out. Get a very cheap sketchbook, okay? And also get just a basic pen, take pencil, what you like, just try it out. And then try to draw a face and then render the face, like render the shadow, render the separation of light and shadow. It could be very quick. And then, okay, now put the sketchbook by side, take a canvas, take your oil painting, acrylics, whatever it is, and then do the sketch again you did before, and then try to use it, and then see what decisions you made, and then paint it. You will see that this will definitely help you. These were my 5 tips on how to improve your brushwork. Let's recap. The first one, think before you do your image. Plan your image. Think about what you want to achieve. Second of all, work from big to small. Tip number 3, use your creative energy. Channelize your creative energy into your brushwork. Tip number 4 is basically do your own brush master file. Find artwork which inspires you, brushwork you admire, put it on one file and look at it, analyze it and use it for your own brushwork. And my last tip, try to do renderings with different mediums to find out what you actually like. Find if there are similarities in the way you draw and the way you paint, and you will definitely become better with your brushwork. I hope you liked this type of video. I hope this content was interesting for you and you found something useful. I'm very curious if you guys really enjoyed this type of content. Please let me know in the comments. If you have any feedback for me, any suggestions, or maybe a new question for a new episode, just type it in the comments below. Also feel free to check out my other videos, subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you can get a notification when I upload my next video. I think also this will be my last video for 2019, so I will see you guys in 2020. And this was head number 7 and we have 43 more to come. I'm excited to see what I learn and what I can share with you guys. Again, thanks for watching this video. Have a great Christmas, have a great Happy New Year and see you in the next year. Have fun drawing and painting. Bye bye.